the top 5 rookies from week 1 of the NFL seasons. No quarterback made that list. We'll see if that changes. We're going to reverse order here, and it's a wild world we're living in where my number 5 top rookie performer for week 1 is Bijan Robinson. But I thought we had some good performances in week 1. You can disagree with my list in terms of the rankings. Bijan, 10 rushes, 56 yards. He did have a receiving touchdown. His very first pass, which was basically he was sidecar to Des Ridder. It was a little forward lateral, basically. He got introduced to Brian Burns right quick when Caleb McGarry, the right tackle, decided not to block anyone. It's a rare occasion that you see Bijan get blown up, held into the ball, but it was just something that got my attention. Not quite as much as that touchdown catch he had on a little swing pass. Came in motion, went back.
How about those moves?
So Frankie Louvu came out had no chance. He was shot out of a cannon, and Frankie Louvu missed him. And then he ran through 2 other Panthers arm tackles on his way to the end zone.
Unbelievable balance off contact.
Worth the number 8 overall pick.
Worthy, yes.
So listen, we sort of compared him to Saquon. I don't know if was Saquon your comp for him as well coming out?
I think there was a lot of comparisons to Saquon, but I think this guy is a better pass catcher and going to be more impactful in the passing game. Even though Saquon is a very, does a lot of screens and things, I think that this kid just has a little more juice. And that juice, when he sees a crease, when he's running the ball from 0 to 60, he is gone.
And the problem is, if you're a safety and he's got an 8-yard head start and he hits full speed and he's 10 yards from you, you may not get a finger on him. He is so elusive.
No, and the contact bound, you have to wrap him up because he stays on his feet after contact.
I'm going to ask you a crazy question. In terms of sheer running comparison, different size, different player, but he feels like he runs angry in the same way that Adrian Peterson ran angry. Is that too much?
I think it's too much. Different style runners, because I think even though Adrian was not as elusive to stop and start, and Adrian it hurt defenders to hit Adrian. I mean, it actually hurt defenders to hit, and he wore them down as the game went along. And I think Bijan is a little bit better at avoiding contact or making a sidestep, even though Adrian was great and the acceleration that Adrian had, but he was just so unique from a physical build standpoint that it was like, God, that had to hurt to hit him.
I still have in my memory, I think I mentioned this before, but William Gay out of Louisville, who played nickelback for the Steelers for a long time, really good player. I remember it may have been the 2009 game. He got concussed where he had the reflex where your arms go up. At the time, people didn't think concussions were serious. He didn't come back in that game, but I talked to him about it afterwards, and I said, what happened there? He said, man, I just got in the way. Like, I think he just got kneed in the head, and that's just to your point. Everything on Adrian Peterson hurts you to touch. And
yes, including a handshake.
All right. Number 4 on my list. Again, I can't believe this guy's number 4 based on his rookie debut. No Cooper Kupp in Los Angeles for the Rams. Matthew Stafford looked revitalized. The Seahawks looked terrible. I picked them to do better things than what we saw in their debut. But our guy, Puka Nacua out of BYU, excuse me, my man went absolutely off. 10 receptions, 119 receiving yards, most receiving yards in an NFL debut in Rams history. Most receiving yards in an NFL debut by a player drafted in the 5th round or later since your guy, Joey Clinkscales, in 1987. So we watched his catches, and I remember looking at his I went back and looked at his scouting report from over the draft process. We saw him at the Senior Bowl. He's a big receiver, 6'1", 200 pounds, ran in the 4.5s. So he's not a burner, but he played faster than he timed. The issue I had with him was the sort of precision route running at times, and that sort of showed up. I didn't think he was necessarily a great route runner, but he found the holes in the zones against the Rams, showed the ability to catch the ball away from his body. He ran through some arm tackles early, and the very last target, a man stacked up Tyreek Woolen, who's a 4.2 guy, and had the throw been 6 inches closer, it might have been down to the 1 or a touchdown. So I give him credit for outrunning Tyreek Woolen to the end zone near the end of that game.
Yeah, no, he played like a savvy veteran, especially against the zone coverage where he just knew how to get open. The play that probably stuck out to me the most was the 3rd and 7 where he ran that corner route in the late in the game, 4th quarter, I think, and kept the drive alive, which I thought was a critical piece to them, putting the finishing touches on Seattle. But I still don't think he is a burner. I don't know how he's going to do in man coverage. He is tough as nails coming inside, knowing he's going to make the catch and still get hit. But credit and kudos to Les Snead and that staff for at least this week. I don't think anyone anticipated him having opening debut, but it did catch up attention not only on people in the media, but it'll catch the attention of whoever they play next, and he won't be a secret anymore.
No, I thought he was going to be a day 3 guy. He went in the 5th round, and just goes to show you, once you get drafted, it's up to you. So credit to him for having a huge debut. Tutu Atwell also went over 100 yards in that game for the Rams. All right, let's go to Foxborough. And this guy almost made Debo cry with how the Eagles played it down the stretch here. Christian Gonzalez is number 3 on my rankings this week. 7 tackles, 1 sack, 1 tackle for loss. Had a quarterback hit in a pass breakup late. Listen, it is no easy task going up against A.J. Brown, as you see here on YouTube, and Devonta Smith. And he took some lumps, Christian Gonzalez did, but his movement skills are incredibly impressive. The athleticism to change direction. He is long. He's the longest cornerback on that roster by what feels like 7 or 8 inches. Came off a corner blitz, off a tight split, and did something that very few people can do. He wrapped up Jalen Hurts on first contact, and he wasn't known as a tackler at Oregon. That's one of the questions we had, the physicality. I thought he showed more physicality in this game than we saw in college. And he had a great pass breakup on the 4th and 2 late in the game that got the ball back to Mac Jones and that offense for a chance to win. Again, he took some lumps, but he also made some plays, Rick. So that's why I have him number 3.
Yeah, I would say the first half he was still feeling his way. He still gives a little bit too much cushion, gave some easy completions up, but he seemed to gain confidence as the game went along. Great play on that slant route, breaking that slant route up. You get 3 stats for that sack. You get a tackle for loss, you get a quarterback hit, and you get a sack. So that ding, 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 3 categories when he came off the edge. Uncontested, by the way, but still did a great job wrapping up Jalen Hurts. But very good first impression. I still think he needs to be a little tighter in coverage, especially when he's off. He gave up a little bit too much cushion, but I think he improved from the first half to how he played the second half.
And again, you have to feel pretty good about that, I would imagine, because he fell in the draft down to the middle of the first round, and he wasn't the first cornerback taken. He might have been in the 3rd. I know that Devin Witherspoon went first, and then Emmanuel Forbes went around that area as well. But he looked the part. He looked like the guy that we saw last year, plus the physicality in the run game, I thought.
Yep.
All right, number 2 on my list. And we can't forget about this guy, even though that Thursday night game feels like it was 2 decades ago. Brian Branch, somehow a 2nd-round pick, should have been a 1st-round pick. 3 tackles and had that pick 6. Now, you could say the pick 6 was lucky. Well, he still had to one-hand catch it and run 50 yards to the end zone, and he did that. Skill. I thought his movement skills in short areas is incredibly impressive. Yeah, he ran the 4.6. I don't care. He doesn't play like 4.6. He's incredibly smooth in terms of change direction, whether it's east, west, north, or south. Wrap-up tackler in space. He is looking to run through somebody, and that's what you want to see from your slot corner. And I had very few issues. He got confused a few times by Patrick Mahomes. I think the touchdown in the end zone to the tight end, Blake Bell, he messed up that coverage, and you could see him put his hands on his head after the play, and I think the safety was saying, yo, this is your guy. But other than that, A's across the board.
Yeah, no, he is a man playing in the nick. And the one thing that really impressed me, he is not shy.
Woo.
He's not shy of contact. And that interception that he made, that is skill to pick, because that ball was Kadarius Toney kind of dropped that ball, but it fluttered up into the air. Into some corners don't have that ball skill, that they may have dropped that. But he looked natural when he went and picked that ball up in the air. And then he wasn't 4.6 after he caught it and got into the end zone. He can run. So this is a prime example of a very good football player that maybe some people passed on because he didn't run the 40 that you wanted him to run, but he plays fast and he's physical and he's aggressive and he has ball skills.
How do you feel like my list so far in terms of the rankings? You okay with it?
Yeah, I mean, it's okay.
All right.
Based off it, I'm not going to argue with you on anything. You can make a case either way for all these guys.
All right, then. Lastly, do you agree that Jalen Carter is number one on this list?
Ooh, I think he showed the unique athletic traits that he has.
Sweet mercy. Let me say this first. Cole Strange and Michael Owenu were out, the starting guards for New England. And you know who started? Antonio Mafi, the rookie, and Sidney So, the rookie. And they got introduced to the NFL right quick when Jalen Carter was out there.
Yeah, no, everything that we talked about, he was the best defensive player. If you just looked at the tape, the biggest concern was him. Does he play hard every snap? Which he played hard every snap.
Yes, he did.
He
sure did.
There's no question. And all the off-field issues that he had to deal with through the pre-draft process. But on the field, if they can get the effort that they got out of him this week, he's going to be a wrecking ball in the one. He was one of my guys as a candidate for Defensive Rookie of the Year. I said that he had to get at least 9 to 10 sacks to even be considered that, which is difficult from the defensive tackle position. But he kind of made a statement game out there.
He's got one of those sacks already. He had 8 pressures, 7 hurries, 1 sack, 25% pass rush win rate. And they line him up at 0 a lot. If you're Dave Andrews, the last thing you want to see is probably Jalen Carter right over your nose, right?
Yeah, and he's going to have a point to prove. And he played week 1 like he had a point to prove. Like all the stuff that was said about him through the pre-draft process, I'm going to show you what type of football player I am. Now, will that continue? I do believe it will through year 1. We'll see what happens down the road. But the first impression you got against England, there's no question he would have been my top guy as well.
Yeah, man.
Bears fans are already regretting trading out of that spot. I've seen some very unhappy Bears fans on social media. A lot of teams passing on them, but they dropped down a spot to trade with the Eagles, who wanted to get them there at 9.
Yeah, because they picked Darnell Wright at 10. Is that correct?
And then they came back and got Gervon Dexter in round 2, the defensive tackle out of Florida.
Right, who's not the same cat as Jalen Carter.
And they clearly, unless Jalen Carter can play quarterback, that might be
what's
another.
Great about this is everybody can make conclusions after week 1. Remember, the NFL season is not a sprint; it is a marathon.
Well, someone didn't tell Jalen Carter that because he was running all over that field like his life depended on it. You're right, man. He played like he was Johnny Newton out of Illinois with that motor. So credit to him for that.
Jerhan.
Okay, fair enough. Make it difficult on yourself, Rick. All right, shout out to some other guys that we were excited by the performances, but we're not going to have a chance to get to. Xavier Gibson returned the punt for the Jets to win that game. Priority free agent, undrafted free agent, who was a priority before the draft, out of Stephen F. Austin, went to the NFL PA Bowl, did not even get a combine invite. So fantastic story there. Of course, your guy Jordan Addison had that touchdown we talked about briefly. Jahmyr Gibbs was flashed in the limited snaps, and Zay Flowers is exactly who we thought he was. He's going to be special as well.